Hi, I'm Christopher McClinton, CMO for Finxact, and welcome to this episode of xtnsbl Podcast. Delighted to have as a guest today, Nick Handorf, who is our Director of Alliance Partnerships at Finxact, and fairly recently has been appointed, or perhaps was just volunteered, either way we appreciate it, as our lead for Finxact.io, which is what we'll be talking about today. Nick, thank you very much for dropping by.
Absolutely. Thank you, Christopher. Pleasure to join you today. We've been working on a lot of exciting things with Finxact.io, so I'm happy to share them with the audience today.
Yeah, we actually just dropped this news about your team's release a couple of days ago on social. And so I'm really excited for those who are tuning in to have an opportunity to listen to you go into a bit more detail. But maybe let's just get underway. Tell us a little bit about the backstory for this project.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Finxact.io has really been a culmination of a number of efforts over the last few years here at Finxact. As a next-gen leading core in the US market, heavily focused on how do we continue to meet the needs of our customers, get ahead of our users' needs, so that they can really have and be able to meet their business objectives. And a part of this initiative, within the last year, we really challenged ourselves to look and see, what are our users' needs? What are they asking for? What do prospects need from a core banking platform? And I think it really created, or a few themes emerged around this topic. And Christopher, I think it's things you've talked about a lot on this podcast with other users before. Whether it's a financial institution, a fintech, or an embedded finance, organizations really wanting to have a few things: control of their roadmap, ability to launch products into market quickly, being able to seamlessly and at their own control, be able to develop integrations to other fintechs, and also really being able to upskill their teams so they can once again control their roadmap. And as we heard all of those things and really took that feedback from our users, that's really where we started to challenge ourselves with how might we develop new features and capabilities to meet those needs. And that really kicked off this new initiative around Finxact.io. And really our focus here on the product vision really boils down to delivering self-service digital capabilities that empower our users to be able to own their roadmap. And whether that is as I mentioned, a financial institution, a embedded finance proposition, or fintech, it could also be a developer or a product owner like myself, but really giving our users the tools to be able to, one, design, develop, and deploy really any proposition on Finxact.
Yeah, this is, I think this is going to be a treat for the listeners today and the viewers, because you really begin to appreciate, I certainly do. I've been along for this ride for a minute now. And what is so satisfying is to see just all of the lessons learned. From 5, 6, 7 years ago, the team's going out, whether it was a financial institution that was just going straight for a conversion. So the teams are in there, just fighting with fire, just doing sort of that really intensive, difficult work to bring the bank up on Monday on a new system, or whether it's one of our fintechs who is just perhaps using a sliver of all that Finxact can bring to bear, but they're getting right to what they need. And maybe we might have saved them some time by having something like Finxact.io at the time, but that was our progression. And just to see all of those lessons learned, and I think you have some personal sort of sweat and equity in that experience as well. To see that come into Finxact.io and just be this fully fledged engagement portal for all of this, not just the clients, but the partners, the prospects, is so exciting. Maybe before we go too much further, because you do have, I think, some personal experience with Finxact that goes way back, where you were that guy going into the institution, working with a very modern, very powerful platform, but not with the benefit of Finxact.io at the time.
Yeah, it's actually become a key part of my career. And it's something that I actually, prior to Finxact, I came from the consulting side of core banking. Beginning my career really focusing on helping financial institutions evaluate, select, and implement core banking platforms. And I think through that experience really started to expose some of those trends or needs that I talked about that financial institutions run into. And as you alluded to, through that experience, I actually had the opportunity to move closer to implementations and really helping digital only banks launch net new propositions when I was working at one of the large, global system integrators. And through that experience, my client actually selected Finxact, back in 2020 to be their system of record for their new digital only proposition, and kicked off overnight, having to lead, a Finxact implementation and really have to leverage the great team at Finxact, the resources to be able to implement Finxact up and against the other aspects of the stack. And I think through that experience really showed me how quickly Finxact can help get to market, how powerful the platform is, really the upside of next gen technology. But at the same time, I'm a product owner, not technical in nature. And with Finxact being such a strong API first platform, it really exposed me to some potential opportunities to really improve some of the self-service tooling to help the users implement the platform. Fast forward a couple of years, here I am today now on the team. I think as you alluded to, I've continued to move toward helping, wake up every day and solve this problem about how to really help our users drive adoption. Because at the end of the day, that was me. It's almost solving for my former self with the work that we do here every day.
Well, I've always appreciated that anecdote because, and really kind of segueing into a question that I had for you about audience and who is the intended audience for Finxact.io. But I think that your colleagues that are still at our partner SI, and we have multiple of the global SIs as partners, really appreciate and will really appreciate the work that you and your team have done, because it makes that job that you were performing 4 or 5 years ago, I think, a lot more intuitive and easier, and just removes a lot of that friction and makes the learning just makes it so that you can come up the learning curve so much more quickly. Maybe though, about the audience, who's it for? Is this a developer portal, run of the mill, or is there more to it?
I think it's a key question to ask, and I really like to frame it of, what is Finxact.io, and really put that up against the lens of, Finxact as a headless core platform. And as you think about that promise and the headless core really enabling open API connectivity, the flexibility to plug into other platforms, as well as the scalability of the next gen technology, Finxact.io really becomes that complementing piece to the core that becomes the configuration and operation hub that allows users to be able to configure, monitor, operate the various processes associated with the core platform. But on the other side, it really allows and provides the supporting resources that allows users to better understand, build their skill set and execute tasks within Finxact, as they're either beginning their learning journey or down the road becoming an expert. So as we think about Finxact.io, and really framed as the self-service digital toolkit that we provide our users to be able to implement and operate the core platform, it's something that as we thought about the different audiences and the different users that may engage with Finxact.io, to your question, and we really looked broad. When we think about core transformations or an implementation, or even something net new, like a digital only bank, the core implementation isn't in a vacuum. There's always other teams, other systems, timelines that are involved with that. So what we really wanted to do is look across the value chain from the financial institutions to the other fintechs or ISVs to the global system integrators and the teams that may be hands-on keyboard implementing the platforms, and really understand their needs and what would be useful features or resources to them to help their teams be able to, once again, learn, implement, and operate Finxact. So it was really a diverse group of audiences really up against that problem statement of how can we help streamline the implementation, drive adoption, and really help our clients get to value faster through these different resources, whether it may be one of those different audiences.
Yeah, it's so empowering to each of those constituencies. And I think it does just a fine job of aligning them. They're sharing similar goals, whether it's the other technology providers that happen to be in the FI's ecosystem or the SI that they're working with. It's bringing everybody to, a place where they can grow together, learn together, they can iterate together. Um, it's really, really powerful. Maybe talk for a minute about what are the sort of the main pillars to .io? What are the feature sets that our clients and prospects and partners will find there?
Absolutely. There's really three things when it comes down to the key pillars of Finxact.io. Now, the first of which is the dashboard experience. And the dashboard experience is really focused on empowering the user to be able to configure the core. So as you think about things, setting up their institution, being able to configure their products, be able to operationalize their core, it really provides a centralized hub that allows a product owner or business users to be able to configure and launch propositions on the Finxact core. And it's an area where we spent a lot of time and effort really thinking about how can we help streamline and develop wizards to accelerate key tasks.
Mm-hmm.
About things such as launching products. Now, they can be as simple as a DDA account or as complex as different types of lending products. And we really tried to understand and lead with the perspective of, what are some of the best in class requirements around each of those products, help craft a starting point for our users, and then really create these streamlined configuration flows that allows users to be able to get to development and deployment very quickly on products. So it's an area where we've really tried to tackle, those key tasks and really divide value to our users. So they, once again, can meet those key needs, whether it's around setting up the institution or the bank as well. So that is a kind of what the first and really key point around Finxact.io. It's an area too where, historically we've called it console, and Finxact.io really is the next evolution of that, with a lot of feature rich capabilities that get to a point that all come back to the theme of self-service tooling for our users. The second piece really comes down to the Finxact Academy. And this is something truly net new and we're really excited about. We're fortunate here at Finxact to have a awesome, and I will brag on them, learning and development team that's constantly cranking out content, leading training, coaching our users on how best to use the platform. The Finxact Academy is really a culmination of a lot of hard work by a number of teams to really package up on-demand self-service training for any user to access, to either get started with Finxact and start to learn the foundations, all the way through becoming a certified configuration user on the platform, what we call the Build the Bank certification. And that's just one of many really different courses, badges, certifications that we've launched, all in the theme of really empowering our users with the on-demand training to be able to upskill their teams. And that's a key thing for us, especially as we think around some of the change that comes with next-gen core banking. It's one of those things that, how will real-time affect my business? What operations may need to change? What may my staff need to learn to operate the Finxact core? And they're all questions that we really dug into and tried to surface with the Academy to constantly put out new content that really helps our users to be able to become certified on the platform. And ultimately what that means is de-risk their implementation and operations through certified resources and just create confidence that their team is fully prepared to take on Finxact. So really a key tenet in the step forward of making the platform truly self-service with the Finxact Academy.
And about the Academy, before you go to the third and final, I'm a little reluctant to call out names because I know that there are teams that have been working on this for years, but Tony Fawadi, Nathan Gilbert, they have done just phenomenal work on what was for us previously the learning portal. And I think Finxact, as you said, is just the surfacing of that in such a thoughtful way, so in such a contextual way, as Tony often says, just in time, just enough, just for me. It's really that's been realized now, and in my opinion.
I think one of the orthodoxies that I think we face, core banking is historically very complex. And with that, it's one of those things that we wanted to continually challenge. How do we attack that orthodoxy to really help users be able to build their skill set and feel confident when they implement the platform? Mm-hmm. And once again, not rely on the Finxact team, but have their users be empowered to control their roadmap. So we truly see the Academy being a key step in that evolution, mm-hmm. something that we're very excited about, because at the end of the day, it really puts the training in the hands of our users so they can meet their business objectives. off the back of that, and I think the third piece that is worth mentioning as well is our resources. So if we think about the configuration operations hub, the academy, the third piece really becomes resources. And it's an area across our docs and APIs that is heavily invested a lot of time in to have, hundreds of product documents fully and readily available. The same with our APIs, so that whether you're a business user, looking for a certain answer on Finxact, or you're a developer that may be scoping an integration, having that documentation readily available so that you can complete whatever your objective may be. And it's really become an area where we're continuing to grow, continuing to scale. Therefore, our users have that library of resources readily available at their fingertips. So it's an area where, particularly on the API references, we invested a lot of time. We realized that the integration curve, as at least I like to call it, can traditionally be a long pole with the Finxact project, or really any core banking project to begin with, facilitating creating those connections to the various other fintech platforms. So focusing on the API references, really meeting that developer audience where they're at, so they can quickly understand the basics of our APIs, understand the key APIs they may need to facilitate the integration, and then be able to take real sample APIs, real collections, to then be able to build those integrations. So really a key piece that not only having content, but supplementing with tools to help our users be able to move forward with integrations quickly.
Yes, I think that this is arriving just right on time because, as you well know, Finxact is very much in demand across a number of segments, and it's not your typical or just your typical commercial financial institution or bank. So, I mean, to the degree that we talk to them we try to meet them at where they are and talk to them on the level they are. And Finxact is a platform for banking, fintech, and embedded finance, and it's used by those segments differently. And of course, sometimes there's overlap. But there are also very different use cases that are brought to us from those segments. And so, what I've also observed is there's a difference in, I think they all reasonably expect a measure of self-service so that they can go and learn as much as they feel comfortable learning on their own before they're reaching out, maybe engaging our teams. Now, for tier one financial institutions, maybe there's perhaps less of that because it's a very structured project run perhaps by one of our global SI partners. But when you get into the whole world of MFI, for instance, there are thousands of companies and software companies that are ISVs that are doing their thing. And they really want to be able to have an experience to learn quite a lot about Finxact, to have a sandbox and environment, to really be, pretty far down the path so that they can make a buy decision without a prolonged or protracted, process for that discovery. And of course, Finxact is standing at the ready to jump in, at any point along the way. But what Finxact IO is making possible is it's reaching those segments, the ones who want to be able to self-serve where they are. And I think that was a long time coming, but it's here, and it's going to be a huge accelerator for those segments that we're now serving.
I think you nailed it, Christopher. Because another thing is a key pillar, really, with, you mentioned financial institutions, embedded finance, fintech. Within each of those, there's a range of use cases. There's a range of types. There's even different users. And I think one of the things we really wanted to focus on is being able to serve those different users.
Okay.
So a product owner that really wants to be more hands-on at a UI level, doing your configuration, or a developer and being able to leverage our APIs to either configure or interact with the platform. I think it's something that we very quickly seen as we went out in the market. There is a lot of leading experiences out there that have created new expectations with developers. The ability to be able to quickly learn, get started, integrate, and even potentially list in a marketplace has become a very common pattern. And it's something that developers' expectations have risen to, and there's a lot of value in it. And I think as we saw the opportunity to, Finxact and specifically, Fiserv having a very strong ecosystem, very breadth of network, we're constantly trying to see how can we continually introduce new fintechs into our ecosystem, to deliver mutual value to our customers. So as we think about that audience and how to make it easy for them, I think you nailed it with your analogy, or your focus really comes back to helping that audience get started quickly, enable their self-service nature, and come onto a path where we can truly create a reusable type of integration with our platforms once we get started. So it's a great example that I think not only are we thinking about our traditional clients, but we're thinking about our partners, how we can better serve them with this experience as well.
Talk to me about integrated experience. That's a term that you floated time and again during just our weekly updates and company meetings when your teams were just keeping everyone apprised of progress on finxact.io. But what is that for our viewers today? What does that mean to you?
Sure.
Why was it so important?
It's a key tenet of everything we do within finxact.io. You heard me talk about the dashboard experience, the academy, and the APIs and docs. Our focus is certainly there's value in each of those, but how do we ultimately deliver the right resource to our users at the right moment?
Mm-hmm.
As we think about users that may be going through and configuring a product, how do we deliver the appropriate training course or the appropriate documentation as they're going through and building that product? So what we really tried to do with the experience is create a system of guidance throughout the entire experience. So as a organization or a user, you know where you're at in your implementation. What comes next? What are the logical steps to be able to configure the platform? But at the same time, as you get into the weeds and start to configure different elements, what is that coaching that's always there, always readily available that helps you complete that task? And it really cuts down on the time to be able to learn, but like anything, provides the user the answer in the moment so they can continue to move forward. They can continue on with their implementation. And at the end of the day, be able to accelerate their timeline. So we really thought about how do we continue to deliver the integrated experience as a key theme across all of finxact.io up against those business objectives.
And so how does this translate to value to our stakeholders? That's set of features that you just described.
It's my favorite question to answer. Ultimately, what the work we've done, how is it useful? How do our users derive value from? And I think that's best told through just a few examples. And I often like to tell this through, imagine you're a financial institution in Latin America. And you're looking to launch a new proposition here in the United States, and you're evaluating a core, you're evaluating a technology stack to ultimately help you power this proposition. In that use case, ultimately what we've done is really allowed that organization to get started and be able to quickly go to finxact.io, evaluate our capabilities, request a sandbox, start building and validate that Finxact can meet their needs so that they can really bend and accelerate that curve and the procurement process, which can take a lot of time, a lot of effort, and lead to delays. So really helping serve the needs of the new organization that's evaluating a core banking platform so that they can quickly be able to hands-on, validate the requirements, test the experience, and get started. So we see there's a lot of power in allowing organizations to get started very quickly. Another one, Christopher, that is really interesting is imagine you're a financial institution and you just purchased Finxact. With that moment, there always comes a little bit of anxiety of now there's this long runway to be able to implement the technology. And in that use case, now what we've really tried to offer is, first and foremost, access to the academy so you can quickly train up your staff and build that skill level going into your implementation. Second, I talked about that system of guidance that really coaches the organization of that pathway to go through an implementation that creates transparency and expectations right off the bat. And third, being able to quickly and leverage our configuration wizards from setting up the financial institution to building your products really helps streamline that process so that you can get through your initial build quicker, work through your integrations faster, and get to your testing cycles. So really, as we like to say here at Finxact, shift left implementation that really helps accelerate in that use case. And I think finally, I'd be remiss not to mention, especially to my former self, the final example that I like to mention is imagine you're a partner. You're a large global consultancy or growing consultancy, and you're really looking to expand your capabilities from advisory in the technology space to really having hands-on resources that can implement the platform. And that's an area where, think about in that case, the Finxact Academy, for instance, really allowing those organizations to build a practice around Finxact, being able to upskill, train, and certify their resources so they can build a bench of resources that can confidently implement the Finxact platform and really help them get opportunities to support and partner with organizations as they deliver their transformation agenda, or net new proposition. Really, some opportunities is just a few examples as we think about value, whether you're a existing institution, a net new institution that may be launching something from scratch, or even a partner, whether a fintech or a consulting partner of ours, different tooling that you can use to really help deliver whatever your objectives may be, all in through that lens of, as we've talked about, self-service, readily available for their teams.
And really, I think everything that you mentioned in terms of the value derived in one way or another really gets to time to market and time to value. And whether you're a very large financial institution that's executing against a transformation strategy, time is of the essence. Or whether you're a fintech, trying to get a new idea to market as quickly as possible. And maybe it's more of a narrowly focused retail value proposition. That's okay, but speed matters. And so just the ability to, wherever possible, cut down on the time it takes to iterate your product to the point that it's meeting your requirements and you're getting it out there and you're getting customers and you're providing value. All of this is ultimately it's shifting left, as you said. I'm glad you're able to work that in, though. Frank would be pleased.
That's a favorite, and I've quickly come to adopt that term since joining the team. So it's a mantra that we certainly live by on the .io team.
What's been the feedback loop thus far? Like, what's it look like, and what are you hearing?
It's been positive. We've been very pleased. We launched Finxact.io back in July. And with that, we've had the opportunity to just organically attract a lot of new users, a lot of new organizations, in addition to some existing organizations being able to get in there and start to really leverage the new capabilities. We're very fortunate that we have, vocal users that have really shared some great feedback. The things that I'm particularly excited about, and I think the themes that have quickly emerged, is particularly as we think about prospect users, the new ability to create an account and get a sandbox environment with Finxact. It takes minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And that is really, I think, proven valuable to a lot of organizations here domestically, as well as globally, as new organizations have tried to start their journey with Finxact. We're hearing a lot of positive feedback about the ability to seamlessly get started, which we focused on, and very happy to see that. It's an area where we plan to continue to evolve that as well. The second, I think, key piece really is the academy. It's something that we really put front and center of our value proposition of self-service tooling for our users. And we really set it up in a way that the initial release had a Finxact Foundations certification all the way through a Build the Bank certification. And with that, it's really allowed our users to be able to, a part of that journey, pick out different courses based on their needs. We've gotten a lot of positive feedback that users are being able to quickly find material, access the material, and really learn on the go, which I think has really proven valuable as more and more users have gotten in the system. So something that we're very excited about. And then finally, I think the third piece that I would mention really comes back to our product configuration flows. We really identified across retail and business, a number of different product flows that we believe to be key products that our organizations are launching on a consistent basis. And as users have gotten their hands in there and started to leverage these new processes of launching the flows, we've gotten very positive feedback. Things such as very intuitive, very helpful, very much a guided experience. And when I do run into problems, I feel like I have help. I have the resources there. So that's been some of the really strong positive feedback that we've heard. Certainly, like anything, everything's not perfect. We realize there's opportunities to continue to improve the experience, and very much ears open to our users and continuing to identify opportunities and listen to their feedback to continue to drive our roadmap going forward.
Yeah, but importantly, you're asking for it. So I've spent quite a bit of time in there, and along the way, whether it's a module, I'm trying to get a credential, it's asking me, was this meeting your needs? Was this useful? Give it, and in an unobtrusive way, it's just kind of surfacing a little bot to ask you for some feedback. And the same thing I think is happening along the workflows that you described. So I think what that will do, and I'm sure this has occurred to you guys already, but just over time, serve to anneal the platform for all of the users, because great feedback's coming from lots of different directions, segments, personas, but ultimately just improving everybody's experience. So I know we're about out of time, but really appreciate you dropping it. You're probably not just going to stop here. So what do you see in the near future, near term, midterm for Finxact.io?
We have an exciting roadmap. It's something that I get pretty energized to talk about, especially off the back of the great work that's been done. And I'd be remiss not to mention by a number of different folks. Finxact.io has been a culmination of our Finxact.io team, our engineering team, our product team, your marketing team, Christopher, and our learning and development. So it's an area that's really taken cross collaboration and led to these phenomenal results. And we're really looking forward to continuing that momentum as a key initiative for the organization. As we think about what's next, I think there's really some key themes that we're heavily focusing on. And it really anchors back to the start of the conversation. How do we really help organizations get started with Finxact? A couple of things we're focusing on there is really being able to launch a new mobile experience. So all of the Finxact resources are readily available on the go to our users, can access them at any time. Secondarily, developing and launching some new tailored user journeys as organizations are getting started, whether they're embedded finance, bank, whatever use case it may be, crafting both configurations, API collections that really help get them started based on their needs within the sandbox experience. The second key theme is really expanding our configuration capabilities and expanding to add additional products. Our core product team is continuing to deliver just great results and great features and functionality around our products. We recently released things such as more complex lending capabilities, more IRAs. So really thinking and staying in sync with our core platform and exposing all of that great work that they're doing and making those readily available through Finxact.io and the associated resources. The other key piece key theme that really focused on is how do we help organizations continue to be able to understand, monitor, and be able to grow their business. And a couple areas that we're focused on in that regard. First is a new dashboard homepage experience that really puts data at the center, both business metrics and operational metrics that help our organizations be able to quickly identify how their core environment's running, what is the current data, and help them be able to continue to and better manage their Finxact instance. The final piece that I do want to mention too, it's certainly a key trend that I think everybody is hearing about, is generative AI. With the resources and with that integrated experience, we do see the next horizon really being focused on how can we leverage chatbot-like capabilities to plug into the experience and serve as that next horizon of helping our answers get the right information at the right time, as we've talked about a few times. So currently working on a number of things across each of those dimensions. I call it just a subset because certainly we expect to be busy over the next number of months, but at the same time, as we talked about in the feedback piece earlier, our ears are wide open. We're interested, we're learning from our users, and we'll continue to factor their needs and their feedback into what comes next.
Well, congratulations to your team, to all of you across Finxact who, as Nick said, this has been an effort that has spanned a number of departments and partners and just really dedicated, talented folks. And it's just it's a great example of Finxact once again leveling up. So I encourage you to check it out. Yeah, really enjoyed talking to you. Thanks for dropping in.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, Christopher. And I think I'd like to mention for folks that are interested, please, I recommend go to Finxact.io. You can create an account today and please get started. We welcome all and are excited to grow the Finxact network of folks that are interacting with the platform. And secondarily, our Finxact.io product team, engineering team will be out in Las Vegas at the end of the month, and we'll be doing some presentations around Finxact.io. both on the main stage as well as some demos. So looking forward to those sessions. Looking forward to anybody that wants to come learn more and engage with the platform. Excited to show off some of the capabilities in real time out at Fiserv Forum.
I'll see you there.
Perfect. Well, thank you, Christopher. Pleasure to join you all today.
Pleasure's mine.